Wonderful. Thank you very much. Dr. Sultani, are we about to start?
Yeah. We saw in a few seconds, we will go live, and then I will give you the link so you can share it with others.
Okay.
Okay.
Just 5 seconds.
No problem. Very much. Dr. Sultani, are we about to start?
Hold on. Okay. Okay. So now I'm sharing the live Zoom, the live link, so you can send it to whoever you want. I'm sharing it in the group. Here you are.
Okay, everybody. So there is that link that is coming to the group. I'm hoping that to me everybody can share. So everybody can share. We can share it in our.
That's it. Just
Facebook.
a YouTube live link, so you easily can share it wherever you want.
So there is that link that is coming to the group. Okay. Sorry.
If you open that link, so you will have a double voice, remember. So you just just share it.
Can people share that? So we have gone live. So let's get started. First of all, let's ask everybody to mute. As we join, let's mute so we can get started. Greetings, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Some is good afternoon, some is good morning, very good morning, actually. Some is midday. So wherever you are, welcome to this webinar session with the International Institute for Peace through Tourism Southern Africa, in partnership with the Nigerian Association of Travel Agents, which is an abbreviation called NANTA, and the Tour Operators Union of Ghana, we abbreviate as TUGA, with African Link Travel. Why I mention all these names is because this webinar, it's meant to solicit insights from colleagues who came from many parts of West Africa, but mainly from Ghana and Nigeria. They came to South Africa in May this year for their annual association conference, which took place in Johannesburg at the Hotel Sky Center and at the University of Johannesburg. And after the conference, the delegates went by road to attend the annual Africa Travel Tourism in Durban. And so we thought with that vote of confidence from the two associations in West Africa, of course, they brought in other colleagues from other neighboring countries like Cameroon, people from Senegal and Benin. We thought, why don't we capture the insights, experiences that they had when they hosted their conference here in South Africa. What are the things that they'd like to share with us as a destination, things that we can be very proud of and really enhance on and increase on doing, and the things that we need to be able to address, some of the challenges that they may have experienced. Why all that? It's very important within the context of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, but also from an African continent and African people that need to be at peace with each other. And so the theme of this webinar, and which really coincides nicely with the theme of the two associations conference in South Africa, which was Rise Africa. So the theme of this webinar is peaceful coexistence amongst the African nations. Peaceful coexistence from a people-to-people relations, but equally from a trade point of view, that we need to trade with each other as Africans. We need to increase trade, we need to increase traveling with each other. We need to lower the barriers to travel amongst each other, lower the barriers of being to do business with each other. And so with these two associations having hosted their conference, we saw it from the International Institute for Peace through Tourism as a vote of confidence to South Africa to say, why don't we join hands and address whatever challenges we have so we can increase trade with each other, we increase positive relations amongst our people. And so this is really the premise in which we are hosting this webinar. And so we really are inviting our delegates out who came to South Africa for the conference, who also attended the Africa Tourism in Durban, to share their insights And as per the program that we have a facilitator here, whom I would like to believe that is known pretty much to a lot of our West Africa colleagues, Oluwaseyi. He will introduce himself. He's going to facilitate the discussions. We will co-facilitate, but he's going to be the main facilitator, because I think he will want to draw me into the discussion, because I was the program director during the conference and that took place in Johannesburg. So with that, I want to welcome everybody. I welcome Miss Bani Bula from African Link Travel. She's a managing director there. She is a PCO who handled this conference. We look forward to her own insights. Of course, I introduce the president of the Tour Operators Association, Union of Ghana, Mrs. Alisa Asamoah. She's here with us. And of course, we're looking forward to the president of NANTA to join us later on. So with that, let me give the opportunity to our facilitator. Oluwaseyi, it's over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm extremely happy to be here. Like Natachi has introduced, we're all business people and our business is tourism. But we are also clear about the fact that for us to be able to do this business well, we must have peace. We must be able to travel within ourselves, within Africa. We must be able to do business seamlessly in Africa. And for that reason, we take peace very, very seriously in what we do. And it's for that reason, without further ado, that I would like to call on the president of the Institute for Peaceful Tourism, Mr. Ajay Prakash, to please give his own remark so that we can get into this, because his contribution is very, very important. He's our newly elected president at the Institute, and I know that he's got one or two things that he would like to share with us to sort of lay or put a sort of good ring to what we're going to be doing today. Mr. President, you have the floor. You have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Apologies. Okay. So, yeah. So, well, good afternoon from India. Good morning to you. And if there's somebody in Australia, good evening to them. So it's so good to be here. Thank you all for inviting me. I think this is a wonderful initiative. IIPT, which is the International Institute for Peaceful Tourism, is a 37-year-old organization which was founded by a visionary called Dr. Louis d'Amour, who has done some tremendous work in bringing home and bringing awareness of the fact that tourism can be a force for good, can be a force for peace. Recently, as recently as a week ago, Dr. d'Amour handed over the presidency of the IIPT to me, and I am honored and I'm proud and I'm humbled at this honor bestowed upon me. Bunny was there in New York for this ceremony, and we did miss some of you, Machachi, for example, who couldn't make it, but it was a very moving ceremony because 37 years is a long time in a man's life. And if that man has devoted his life, the last 37 years, to propagating the idea of peace through tourism, then there is a significant body of work and a huge legacy. And these are big shoes to fill, because going forward, all of us know and see around us that there is so much conflict. I mean, at any time, there are more than 150 armed conflicts going on across the world. Scarce resources which could be utilized for the betterment of humankind, for the elimination of poverty, for providing drinking water to people. All these are being diverted into arms and armaments. And this is too important for it to be left only to governments. Civil society, that means you and me and everybody that we know, also has a stake in this. And that is what keeps us together. This is a family. the IIPT family comprises 12 chapters across the world. And the IIPT Southern Africa chapter is one of our most active chapters. So I would like to salute both Machachi and Bunny and Linda, who I perhaps is here on the call, for having taken this initiative to bring together a webinar which also involves our colleagues from Nigeria, from Ghana. Thank you to Nanta. Thank you to Tuga as well for coming to participate in this, because Africa is the mother continent. Everybody originated from Africa, no matter what we look like today. And it is now time for Africa to rise and to take its rightful place in the world, because there is so much that Africa has to offer the world. But for that, it requires that there be peace and harmony among the nations in Africa. And that is what, hopefully, by doing webinars like this, IIPT and everybody else who's involved with this can work towards. Today, we all know that there is no planet B for humanity. The earth is all we have. And as Mahatma Gandhi said, the earth has enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. So that is the message that we need to send out and say that rightful living, sustainable tourism, all these things can go towards creating a more harmonious, a more just, a more equitable world. You know, Nelson Mandela said, no, it was Martin Luther King who said that no one is born hating anyone for the color of their skin or the color of their eyes. People have to be taught to hate. And if they can learn to hate, then they can also learn to love. And that should be our mission. And how do we achieve it? We are in the tourism business. Tourism is one of the biggest industries in the world. You know, pre-pandemic, it accounted for almost 10% of global GDP. For island nations like the Seychelles and Madagascar and Zanzibar and places like that, it comprised almost 80% of their GDP. It is one of the biggest employers in the world. 1 in 10 people is directly or indirectly employed in the tourism business. With an industry this size, surely we have a voice. If we come together, we can make that voice heard. And what does that voice have to say? That we want a peaceful planet, that we want a just planet, that we want an equitable planet, that we want a planet with gender parity, that we want a planet that does not have poverty, that has drinking water, education, sanitation for each and every human being. Now, if that is the unified voice of the tourism industry, I tell you, no government in the world can afford to ignore it. But for that, we have to all come together. We have to think alike. We have to believe that we can make a difference. Because never underestimate the power of one. You know, we sent you a barrister called Gandhi. You sent us back a Mahatma. And that one man single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, he had support, but he started the movement that got rid of the British Empire, which had ruled India for 200 years. So that's how movement starts. There's a drop, and then another drop joins it. And then that drops 3, 4 more join, it becomes a trickle. And more drops join, and it becomes a river. And it goes all the way to the sea. And that is something that each one of us can do, because we cannot leave it only to governments to run this earth. You and I have a duty. You did not inherit the earth from your forefathers. You and I are holding it in trust for our children and our grandchildren. Dr. Talib Rifai, who is the former Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization and is also the chairman of the advisory board of the IIPT, says it very simply: I have one mission, to try and leave the world a better place than I found it. Similarly, IIPT has just one mission, which is to make every tourist an ambassador for peace. When you travel, with an open mind, and the things that we think divide us are very, very small. They pale into insignificance before all the things that unite us. All of us want the same thing: good food, clean air, education for our children, clean water. So it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what religion you practice. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter what your sexual preferences are. At the end of the day, humanity is one race. And this race, remember, originated from Africa. So you have a huge responsibility to come together, to work together, and let us all do that. And let's use this opportunity to talk to our colleagues in Ghana, to talk to our colleagues in Nigeria, and let us come together and create a movement that will cascade across the world in our effort to build a better world through the power of tourism as a force for good. Thank you. I wish you a wonderful webinar. I'm afraid I will have to leave because I'm in another full day meeting in New Delhi. And I will not be able to stay with you for the duration of the webinar, but have a wonderful webinar and all good wishes. And Machachi and Bunny, all power to you. Let us work towards creating more chapters in Africa, and let's create a strong IIPT all across Africa. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prakash. For me, you said wonderful things, and there was a lot of things that I learned from there. But there's a particular thing that I really want to emphasize: the fact that this earth was handed over to us by our forebearers, and they expect us to also be responsible enough to hand over a better world to our children. And that for me is very insightful, very instructive, and it's something we need to take very, very seriously. Once again, I'd like to thank you so much for this very, very wonderful speech you just gave. It's for me is a call to action, and I know that all of us that is on this webinar would definitely want to do our own part of the deal. It's more like, okay, guys, we all have a responsibility and we must all play our role. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And in that mood and drive, I'm so driven right now. I want us to go to the next session, which is the discussion. We're going to have with the three, what I would describe as the main actors of this webinar. The president of NANTA from Nigeria, the president of Toga from Nigeria, and Bonnie, of course, who is the person who made this happen in both Joburg and Durban. I'm really looking forward to it. But before I talk, we only have 45 minutes. So I'm going to try and manage it as much as possible so that we unpack so much from the 45 minutes. I want to sort of see the floor to my sister, Aliza, the president of Toga, to start. I'll give you like 5 minutes to sort of set the tone before I start asking you questions. I'll also give 5 minutes to Susan as well, the president of NANTA, and Bonnie, another 5 minutes. But I'd like to start with Aliza so that we can go into this. We'll use the first 15 minutes for your introduction, and we'll then go into questions. I'm going to be bringing Machachi once in a while into it to also ask questions. But for now, Lisa, if you're ready for us, let's have your own introduction. So just give us an insight into your experience, what you learned, the sacrifice you made, and all the gains you have, all of that in 5 minutes. Lisa.
Wow. Oh, thank you so much, my good friend. Good to see you. And before I start to,
good to see you
before
too.
I start, yeah. Thank you so much, Madam Machacha, for putting together with your team this webinar. It's a great initiative. And also our new president, his presentation is very insightful. Now, to give you a background, I have to do this within 5 minutes. The NANTA conference, it was initiated by the National Association of Nigeria Travel Agents, who partnered with Toga for the Novel edition. You know, the conference was also supported by South Africa Tourism, which took place at the School of Tourism and Hospitality, University of Johannesburg, and assembled tour operators and travel agents from Ghana and Nigeria with long presentations from Cameroon as well. In fact, the conference also had high-profile attendees and speakers, including representatives of both Ghana and Nigeria High Commissions to South Africa, acting CEO at that time of South African Tourism. The event also featured panel discussion on the theme "It's Time for Africa," with both presidents of Tuga and Nanta on the panel. Culminating the event was an extensive classroom-like presentation by the School of Tourism and Hospitality, who took attendees through tourism trends from COVID-19 era through the pandemic to emerging trends. Now, an overview. For me, the conference was quite eye-opening with issues that were raised. There is a real determination, desire to deepen the intra-African travel. The caliber of guest speakers helped define the conference as well as high profile. Overall, the conference provided a good platform for frank conversation with West African tour operators and their efforts to promote travel to South Africa. There are key issues that I think I reserve that, and later we'll go into that when questions come up. Thank you.
Aliza, thank you so much. First, I thank you for the way you were able to marshal your points, and you did it at record time. I really, really appreciate that. And obviously, there's so much for us to learn and share in this webinar. Now, without further ado, I would also like to quickly call on the President of NATA to also quickly give us an introduction into the experience they had, the feedback she got from members, and the gains and all of the challenges they had, just in 5 minutes as well. Susan, you have the floor. Susan, I thought I saw you. I saw you on the webinar. Okay, if she's not there yet, while she joins us, is she there?
But you mentioned, yeah, you mentioned challenges. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
she's here, but the camera is not connected and she's muted. But she's here.
Okay, she's here. All right. Susan, if you're hearing us, we want you to come up with your camera and also unmute yourself. Okay, whilst you do that, because of the management of time, I would want to call on Bonnie, my lovely sister, to quickly do our own introduction. Then we'll take Susan last so that we manage the time very well. Bonnie.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, all our colleagues on the webinar. You know, today is a very exciting day. I think for a while we have lost track of the amount of excitement and work that we did with the conference. And Elisa reminded me of areas that I had completely tucked away in the back of my mind. I just wanted to share with you, Olio, and the team that this idea started about 10 years ago. I met with the previous president, President Bankole of Nanta, at a cocktail function, and that's where we realized that there wasn't much knowledge about Nigeria, and the Nigerians also needed to forge linkages with South Africa. And the idea was planted. We fostered it over the years, but kudos to President Susan. She, typical in hairstyle, rolled up her sleeves and made sure that she bullied and pushed us, and we got it all done. But Elisa also was excellent coming to the party, and it was an incredible, amazing journey. A lot of learning, a lot of understanding, I must admit, because for South Africans, we have different ideas about the cuisine that the Nigerians like. We learned about it. We learned about what the Ghanaians like. So I think it helped us to prepare for the influx of Nigerian and Ghanaians tourists coming into South Africa. So I think that's it for me, Olo.
Thank you so much, Bunny. Incidentally, I had an idea, and I was there when you were talking to Bankole, and I'm so happy. Maybe this thing that they say that when you hand things over to women, they do it better. Maybe it's coming through, because for whatever it's worth, Bankole and the rest of them tried, but they never were able to do it. And I'm so happy that Alisa and Susan particularly championed this, and they've made it happen. And so I am very happy that we're doing this. I think Susan is now with us. Susan, you have 5 minutes to give your introduction so that we can go into questions and answers. Susan, you're welcome.
Hello. Hello, this is Susan live from Botswana, the African Tourism
Hey,
Forum.
Susan, well done.
I'm so sorry for joining in late. At the time the meeting started, the vice president was visiting the Nanta stand, and I needed to do a presentation with him before I joined. So that was why I actually joined late. So thank you again. And that's why there's still a bit of noise and my background and all that. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Majaji and Bonnie, for setting this up. And I just want to say it's been an exciting moment. It's been a dream come true. And like everybody, dreams, I'm so happy that this dream eventually came true. We're looking forward to, at least we have 2 more editions in South Africa. We're looking forward to having a seamless 2 more editions to come. So I am here as much as I can. I don't have any section till about 2 hours from now. So I'll be able to join the meeting till the end of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Susan. Once again, I congratulate you and congratulate Alisa for making this happen, because it's one thing for Matachi and Bonnie to want to make this happen, but they need your involvement, they need your contribution, and you made it happen. And I thank you so much for doing this for Africa, because the truth of the matter is, when we start to get it right from all of our stands, then all of Africa will get it right. Like I said, I have a couple of questions here that I'd like to ask you, and I'm sure that you're very ready to give the answer. But before I start asking the question, I'd like to speak to everyone. You can share the link that was given to us earlier so that your friends can join us on YouTube and Facebook. And for whatever it's worth, you also can just help us spread the news that this is happening right now, and so that people can join us on both the web, the YouTube,
we send the link that is happening now. People to join. We have more Ghana people joining than Nigeria, and our level coach.
Okay, so you just had that, Susan. They said that they have more Ghanaians here, so tell our Nigerians, brothers, and all of that. I've also shared on my side as well. I'll keep sharing, and we'll make sure that we have more Nigerians join. Thank you so much for bringing that to our notes. We really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. So without further ado, I would want to quickly go into the question. Now, truth of the matter is, and I'm starting with Alisa. I know that it was a wonderful experience for you. For you guys, going by what I had. But I want to be very specific right now. What is your overall impression about the hosting of the conference in South Africa? And I'm referring to both, specifically in Joburg, because that was where you had the conference. What exactly was your own impression as a person and the impression of your members? Alisa.
Thank you very much. And straight to the point, as I earlier on indicated, the conference itself was an eye-opener. It was a good initiative, which Tuga partnered with Nanta. Everything went on well, but you see, the conference itself was good, and the icing of the cake was the certificate that we had. Now, the only feedback that we think can help us improve in our next edition was the conference for one day was not enough. It was too packed. So if at least we can get 2 days for the conference, will really help, because it was a rich conference and we needed an extra day for that. And I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty, but whatever was also planned on paper that we discussed, some of them were diverse, but that one we could talk about it later, that we can improve on that in our next edition. But apart from that, it was phenomenal, fantastic. I mean, going for a conference in Joburg and getting certificate to build up your CV, and the discussion that came on was very rich from the university people. So that is why we were saying that if we can get an extra day to get more insight to it, will be perfect. But overall, very impressive, fantastic, and eye-opener. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Aliza. Thank you so much. And I would want to go straight to Susan. I mean, taking it from where Aliza stopped, she talked about the university, you know, as a place where they really had a great time, you know, the session that was had there. So I would want to ask you this question. You had 2 major venues that was used, the Hotel Sky Santine and the University of Joburg. Can you please share with everyone on this webinar what your evaluation of the venues were, both the Hotel Sky Santine and the University of Joburg? Thank you. Susan?
Okay. Hello. Alyssa has just said that, and what she just said, I agree with her 100%. So I'm not going to go into that. For the Hotel Sky, it's a good hotel, good product, but services was poor. That's just one thing I've noticed about that. So if we're going to use Hotel Sky again, they need to improve on their service. But then again, we may not use Hotel Sky, because the idea of the 3 years hosting by South Africa is to move around the 3 major cities. So next year is going to be in Durban, not in Hotel Sky. But then again, we are operators. I know service is number 1. So whichever hotel we're going to use, let's our PCO should make sure that their service is top notch, because that will either help us to sell or not to sell. I know service also adds to the overall experience. Yeah, the program was fantastic. The university was great. But if it now comes down to where you go back to sleep in the night and you have poor service, it tends to always spoil your whole day. And it has the way of spoiling the entire trip, because that is equally as important as any other thing that we're going to do. So my appeal is, next year is Durban. Let's work hard and make sure the hotels have good service. Let it be an hotel that they have experience, not just reviews online, but they've been there's experience in them handling large groups, because the success of this year is going to make last year bigger and better than what it is. So that's what I have to say about it. So, but the university, everything about the university was fantastic. It's just the fact that, like she said, that training at the university shouldn't be 1 day. We should have 2 days. So the Durban University we're going to use, they should put that at the back of their mind, at least to give us 2 days training. It was so much information in such a short time, and that is very exhausting. You don't know which one to take. So that's just my take on those 2 items. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. I mean, that's well taken. I believe that all of this notes has been taken, and Bonnie is shaking her head. I'm sure she'll be responding to this later. Now, you guys had a wonderful experience. Unfortunately, you probably were not going to have that next year, because this event will be happening in Durban. The road trip from Joburg to Durban, I've always desired to have it, but never did. So I'd like to ask Aliza, what was it like traveling on road? I mean, it's a different thing when you fly, you know, less than 1 hour and you're in Durban. What was your road travel experience like from Joburg to Durban? Aliza.
Hi, thanks. In fact, it was fantastic. You know, some of us are tired of flying, especially when you get to your destination, your first stop, moving to the other states or provinces. So the road was exciting. You are more relaxed. The sightseeing itself, it's amazing. Also, we were discussing it in our car. So even my members were saying that when they are organizing trips to South Africa, they are going to do that by road because the coaches were cozy, the roads were good. In terms of security, that we were not sure, but we were even assured that in terms of security, we are good to go. We didn't experience any bad thing. Everything was on point. So in fact, I really enjoyed the road trip, which in future we are adding it to our packages. We are sorting out our visa issues with the embassy, but going by road is fantastic. Looking at the time duration, is within, you don't even feel it. The sightseeing itself is so amazing. So as for the road one, it was on point and I would include it in my package. So I don't have anything negative about it. The road experience was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliza. I really, really like that. You're making me feel very jealous right now. I've always wanted that road thing, but I've not had it yet. And without a doubt, from what you have just described, it is about time that I do my own road trip as well from Johannesburg to Durban. Now, I'm going to go to you,
And
Susan.
one other thing that, yeah, one other thing, let me add that one, sorry. For the road, we can also do one, so we can add the Kruger National Park to our package because I think this was a farm trip anyway. We were going to try it and taste it, but I recommend when it comes to recommendation, we'll touch on that. So let me leave that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, we appreciate your the thoughts because all of the things that will make this an exciting experience for all of us, that's what is most important, and that's why we're having this webinar. Now, to you, Susan, I want you to talk about or recommend what improvements or recommendation was made by the members. I'm referring to NANTA now, as regards the conference in Joburg, the airports, the hotel transfers, the venues, the accommodation, and you can add your experience in Durban as well. We just want to have an idea, you know, an holistic idea of what their thoughts were, maybe complaints or recommendation, so that at least that can be worked on. Again, the hotels, both in, and I'm sure I overheard you talking about the sky thing. Maybe you should look at Durban now. The hotel in Durban, the airport, the hotel, the transfers, and in general, what was the thought of the members? Nanta now, Susan.
Oh, yes. My members were super excited, super excited about everything. Oh, of course. It was the first of its kind. And of course, it wasn't devoid of the teething issues and teething problems. Yeah, I want to believe the little issues here and there, especially the hotel in Durban, actually. The hotel in the Hotel Sky, we really didn't have any issues with them, just that the service was not too good. But there were a lot of issues with the hotel in Durban, actually. And somehow they were able to get over it. My members are very understanding, and they didn't make much fuss. They complained, but I appealed to them, so they didn't make much fuss, but they were not happy about it. But by the time the business engagement happened in Ndaba, it's lifted their spirit, and at that moment they forgot about the inconvenience of the hotel and they moved on. You know, Nigerians, we are natural adapters. We know how to adapt to any situation. It's just to switch on that adaptive mode, and we are good to go. So overall, it was a fantastic thing. Of course, there was a huge disappointment as well for my members because Truga was much better. Their visa process was better, but the visa process for us was huge. As a matter of fact, this year, a lot of them are already saying that they don't want it in South Africa anymore, that the embarrassment they went through because of the visa issues, that they don't want to go there. So I am still trying to pacify them and telling them that we will see how we can make sure what happened this year in the visa process does not happen again. That was the major and the biggest disappointment for my members. Then those that were eventually able to go had a swell time, had a wonderful time. The road trip, everything. They are looking forward to next year. But their challenge is, how are we going to go through that hassle, that visa stress and hassle, disappointment? That might be a bit of problem that I foresee next year for us in Nanta. Because those that were not able to go, these are people that have traveled the world. These are people that have gone with me to the UK, to the US, and South Africa is refusing them visa. It's absurd. So I have a lot to do in convincing my members for next year. That is the honest truth. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to trust God that God will give me the wisdom to do it. But that was a no-no. It was quite disappointing. And I was very discouraged at some point. And even though much later, the High Commissioner in Abuja was able to calm situation down and gave every member that applied through Abuja just to pacify what happened in Lagos. But then again, the disappointment is huge. So that for me, that was just the only issue for my members and the only thing they complained about. Thank you.
Shay, can I just come in there?
Right.
Yeah, I just want to ask for Susan, and I hope I don't trump your next question, Shay. Susan, what were in your own, when your members were speaking to you, what were some of the issues that maybe the kind of responses that they got from the High Commissioner? Because I heard that some of the issues were because people were applying late for the visas and things like that. So how much of what had happened had to do with members not applying for the visas on time?
Okay, but it wasn't an issue of not applying on time, actually. Fine, we applied late, and that was 100% SAT's fault. Because the plan was we were supposed to visit the High Commissioner together with SAT, yeah, as the major partner, but that never happened. SAT for some reason kept delaying, as the SAT rep in Abuja, Nigeria, Tekiso, for some reason was delaying, and that never happened. I know SAT kept telling us that we cannot submit until they make all the arrangements. They wanted to make a special arrangement where they just allow us to walk in 3 times in a week. And we were waiting. My members were waiting. So what I now did was, it was getting late. So I told some of them they can just on their own get an appointment and go and submit for the visa because it's getting really late. By the time SAT eventually came back to us and said, okay, now we can start submitting, that lateness was not from us. It wasn't from my members. It was from SAT. They kept telling us, please hold on. We need to sort out issues from the embassy. We need to sort out issues from the VFS. We are trying to arrange a walk-in. We're trying to arrange a smooth something. Please hold on. By the time they now eventually told us to go ahead, it was just 3 weeks to the event. And then again, most of the visas came out in 5 days, in 1 week. Yeah. Because they promised that the visas are going to come out within 5 days, and it did, but they were refused. That's the thing. So meaning the embassy didn't even recognize the fact that this event was powered by SAT, and that was so disappointing. And the lateness also, my members lost in visa fee, they lost in ticket because it was getting really close, and some of them had to buy their tickets to secure a good rate, and only to find out that they were refused at the end of the day. And now some of those tickets although I was able to speak to the airlines to do a refund waiver for them, and some of them got their money back. But overall, it wasn't our fault. We were busy waiting. They told us to wait. They kept telling us to wait, and we waited. And it was just 3 weeks too that they now told us to go ahead. So it wasn't our fault.
Susan, sorry, Matati, let me just quickly comment. For whatever it's worth, yes, whenever things like this wants to happen, we'll definitely need to work with South African tourism. But I will say this here without batting an eyelid, that as Nanta, And I know the Consul General very well. He's a very, very understanding person. He does not have a problem with us organizing a visit as NANTA to him. And if we do that early, so that we give him a lowdown of the itinerary and how things were going to go. Yes, this edition was the first one, but I can assure you that if we have a visit arranged straight to the Consul General, and I can facilitate that if there's a need for us to go and meet him ahead and say to him, these are the numbers, these are our expectations of him. I'm sure he will listen to us. It is good to work with SAT, but if it's about the visa, the door of the Consul General is definitely open to NANTA, and he'll be very willing to accommodate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Iwa, for even raising it up, actually. Not that we couldn't go by ourselves. But you know, when you say you are collaborating, I believe in collaboration. And if we say we're working together, we should do things together. This is a learning curve. And just like you have said, I don't intend to wait for SAT for next year. I don't intend to wait for them. I also have a very good relationship with the High Commissioner himself. The consular in Lagos, I don't know him, but I know the High Commissioner personally. And I had told him about this event earlier on in the year, even before we got to the embassy. But the instruction from SAT is, we are working together, we should go together. Not that I couldn't have written a letter and gone to see the consular myself. I believed in SAT. I believed that they will really, really up their game. But unfortunately, they disappointed. So just like you said, for next year, I am not waiting for them. I don't care what they say and what they tell me. I'm not waiting for them. We will make those visits ourselves. So I've learned my lesson. And in time past, anywhere we go to, we don't even wait. We usually go and visit them. I had paid the High Commissioner a visit earlier on, and I told him about this event already. So SAT made me wait for them. And like you said, we've learned our lessons. Next year, I'm not going to wait for them. We will just go straight and see both the High Commissioner and the consular, like you said. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, because what we're trying to build here is big. It's bigger than all of us as individuals. It's bigger than any organization. This is for Africa, and we have to do it the best way we can. Now, before I end this discussion, I want Masashi, if you have a question to ask both of you before I now go to Bonnie. Masashi, you have the floor.
But yeah, when Masashi finished, I would like to also come in, because to be fair on us on the other one. So please let her finish, and I'll come in on the other issues that I want to share with you.
Okay.
No, Shay, thank you so much. I think for me, within the spirit of the work of the International Institute for Peace through Tourism, you know, literally this whole issue of us as Africans in the peaceful coexistence, people-to-people relations. So I would want the two presidents to really just talk to us in terms of broader than the experience that they've had. You know, what can be done to improve the people-to-people relation between South Africa and Nigeria, Ghana, and the rest of Africa? I mean, on the back of the first experience of coming and bringing the association conference here. That would also be a big help. And I think for the South Africans that are here, because I see a lot of product owners that are here, Andrew Kruger, who runs a beautiful lodge out in Limpopo. I mean, I saw Tulare, Madam Tulare, Pelisa Manu, people from the South Coast in Durban. So I'm sure we're all sitting as the South Africans say, how can we make your experience better? And also from a trade point of view, a tourism point of view, but a people-to-people relation. So to both presidents, if you can really just comment on that. Thank you so much, Shay.
So, Aliza, I want you to start so that you can start with what you wanted to say. So you can start. Yes.
Thank you very much. Before I come to Machachi, now, I would also want to touch on the transfer and the hotel in Durban, because it's very, very important. It will help all of us, so that you get the view from, to be fair, you get the view from my sister Susan and myself. You know, when we came on arrival the first day, our groups were into two. The first one, I was leading the group. At the airport, we were supposed to be transferred to the hotel. Nobody came. We had to take our own transports. So it's communication. That one, we had to meet, and at the end of it, I think it was some refunds were made. Secondly, for the hotel, my sister just said it. The hotel is fantastic. We went ahead for the farm trip to inspect Sky Hotel. We were in love with Sky Hotel, but the other side was their customer service. My sister has touched on that. Now, when we traveled to Durban, we got disappointed, really disappointed about the hotel. The bad experience that we had in terms of the people-to-people relationship, I don't want to speak on this webinar, because if it hadn't been the God on our side, a big tragedy would have happened. The hotel itself and the light up, South Africa was experiencing light up, but we thought we could go to a hotel that they had generator. They didn't have generator. I was sleeping with my people in that hotel, so I experienced it myself. We had to take other members who were not comfortable. We had to, together with Bunny Ita, we had the meeting. My sister Susan, we had to look and we got another hotel for a few of them. For the visa on, I think I want to touch on that briefly, so that you know from outside how we experience on that, so that in future, when we are organizing our trip, we would make sure that the right hotel is chosen. In terms of the visa, I would advise my sister. I know Ghana is not same as Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger than Ghana in terms of the states that you have. But she even touched on that she has a relationship with the Consular General also. We had a relationship with them, but I don't know how the application was done at their end. I know Tekisu SAT was also, but we went ahead of them. We sent the list to the embassy, and we're on them. Our people were collating everything. When you live on them, some of them are very stable. So this is my advice, not that I'm trying to tell her that the proper thing wasn't that. I know she put in a lot of energy and the way they work. But on the other side, if you get the number, get the list, send it to the embassy. When the application gets there, I think they'll know that they are part of the list, and that one makes it easier. So for the hotel and the transfer, this is what I want to say. But for the people-to-people relationship, in general, it was okay. But we had a very bad experience in terms of dealing with the South Africa, which I don't want to put it on the platform. But at the end of the day, God saved us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alisa. And Susan, what about you in terms of that question?
Yes. In terms of the question, please. Can you remind me of the question, please, again? I'm in an exhibition, so I had a guest.
No, it's really from a people-to-people relation, Susan. The relationship. Sorry, Susan. Did you hear the question? Must I repeat? I think Susan has got a bit of connection issue there. Shay, back to you. So I was just trying to, because we really, as Ajay had said earlier on, we really have all that we do. We've got to do it on the back of having improved people-to-people relations as Africans. Because if you don't have those kind of relations sorted out, so it becomes a big issue in terms of being able to transact with each other, be able to do business. I mean, I remember during the conference at the University of Johannesburg, there was a moment where we were saying, let's be very honest with each other. There was an honesty moment where we say, as a trade partner sitting in the audience here, can we be very honest with each other in terms of how we treat each other before we even talk about the different countries and how we relate? So I was asking that question within that context because we need to work harder to improve those relations among ourselves, but also between our nations. So that was the backdrop of that question.
Okay, thank you so much, Matachi. I guess Susan will join us as soon as she's able to. Next.
Susan is Ibiwari's diploma Uloma can also come in because she's, if
Can
I'm
you
not,
hear me?
Susan?
Can
Yes,
you
Susan,
hear
Susan,
me?
yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Susan, yeah, come in, yes. Susan, you can come in. Uloma is here. She is, if I'm not wrong, she's a deputy president within NANTA. Uloma, if maybe you want to make a comment around that question, the last question that I asked, because Susan is struggling a bit with the reception.
Hello, everybody. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, Madam Ibuari Uloma.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all and good to hear your voices again. Okay, so you may have to repeat that question again.
No worries,
You may
Shay,
have to
please
repeat
repeat it. You can say it differently. Let Shay repeat it. Uloma is in the car. You can see she's on the road.
Yes, I can see.
So
And thank you so much.
I have to pack. I have to pack. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for making the effort to join us. This is, we really appreciate it. Now, the question is quite simple. Now, all of this is to ensure that we do business better, you know, amongst ourselves. So what was your impression of the people-to-people relationship whilst you were in South Africa? Were you satisfied, or were there things you feel could be done in a particular way to ensure that you had a better experience? Basically, that's the question.
Okay. My personal experience, I'm going to end with a story, and that's the story I had with Matati, and she knows the story very well. My own impression is that, you know, it's a beginning, and it was a good beginning as far as I'm concerned. I was planning for, I'll give you an example. I was supposed to be in Ghana this July, or was it in August? My plan was actually to surprise Alisa. I was supposed to just like show up in her office and say, hey, I'm here, but somehow.
Wow. Oh,
yes, but somehow the trip didn't happen. So this goes to tell the relationship. I feel that with all the people I met, all the Ghanaians I met, I could relate with them one-on-one. That's on the one hand. Then let's come to the South African counterparts, our hosts. I felt welcome because I felt that they were throughout the journey with us, even at the down times when there were issues to be resolved and all that. Bonnie, all of them were there. So it's a beginning. And of course, I know there are areas of improvement, but all of that will have to be built, first of all, on trust. On trust and understanding the goal. We need to understand the goal. And the goal is what? Can we begin to talk about Africans within Africa and amongst Africans? And we're setting that platform, of course, we will need to build that trust that is required to you know, encourage that relationship. So back to the story. So Matati and I was supposed to get dropped off in a relative's house. So she and I stopped in the middle of the road. She was willing. We stopped in the middle of the highway, and my relative had to come pick us. That was the level of trust. So when I got there, my relative was asking, oh, I wasn't sure. How did you meet this person? How could you trust this person? I said, that's what tourism does. When you begin to relate on the, you know, basis and platform of tourism, family is built. So for me, that's something I'm looking forward to improving on. And that happened in South Africa. A lot more needs to happen, but that's the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uloma, for your contribution, and we really appreciate it. I'd like to go to Bernie right now because you were the one who drove this, both in Joburg and in Durban. And so for that reason, we will want to have an idea of your impression. Was it easy? What were the challenges? How did you deal with it? Are you looking forward to doing this again? And what are the things you want to do? I know the question is loaded, but try and unpack it as much as you can.
Thank you, Ollie. You know, it was a very interesting time. It shaped my character. It really, really made me become like plastic. I had to adjust to so many different situations. But in the end, it was something that was, as Ibuwari spoke just now, the kind of understanding. We had a lot of challenges. Remember from the beginning, we had to work with a very tight budget to be able to entice people to believe in this. That was our starting point, how we introduced it to the market. And I just want to comment on Susan. She said she was at one stage discouraged. I didn't ever see that. I only saw positiveness in her. And the same with Elisa. The challenge at the beginning was the market was taking very long to respond, to confirm. So hotels that we were holding released because it's prime time, it's her peak season in Durban. And this was one of our challenges. Hotels would not honor their rates closer to Indaba, number one, and number two, also we couldn't hold so many rooms. So yes, we did have those challenges. But despite the fact, the sisterhood that developed out of tourism was amazing. We sat together as a team and worked through all our challenges. That was the most important thing, and that was what established a family. It was like how one says nation building. This was nation building in Africa. So that was, I think, the most profound thing that I experienced out of this. And I feel Alicia, Susan have become part of my life. Ibiwari is like part of my life totally. It's the inside circle of my life. It's like so easy to communicate and we know that things will get done. And equally the same, they have hopefully enough confidence with Matsatsi, myself, and the rest of the team that worked together with them. So we look forward very much to next year, taking all these lessons, applying them, and working towards next year.
Thank you, Bunny. I'd like to also ask you, so you've been on this for a while. It's something you've looked forward to. Now standing here, are you happy that you went through all that to get to this point? And from there, look at the people to people, because so they have highlighted the things they feel they want South Africans to do better. What are the things you also would expect from them going forward? I mean, to make sure that next year's event is better. You just touched on it as regards them confirming on time, but what are the other things that you want to highlight? One is, are you happy that you took on this venture, because you've been on it for a while through bank holiday season before Susan. Then secondly, what are the things you would want our guys from Toga and Nanta to do better so that the experience will be better coming next year? Bonnie.
Okay, thanks, Ollie. I'm very happy I took on this venture because it was totally unknown charted waters. It was an area that we only pursued through friendship. We had a dream, we had a goal. I think we are a little bit like Martin Luther King. We had this dream, but we made our dream happen, regardless of whatever the challenges were. And the teamwork assisted. So I'm really happy about it. As I said, it was like being in a panel beating shop. I was being panel beaten from every possible way because I just landed from ATM in Dubai and I went slap bang into the challenges of the transfers and the hotel and all the minor issues that were very important. They're very important issues. But I would like to say that, I think when you forge partnerships with government organizations, with municipality outsourcing organizations. Sometimes because one is looking for sponsorships, this is the challenge, is they don't take things as seriously as we as a trade take them. So if they are a little bit late or they're a little bit slack, it isn't really a train smash for them. For us, it's like our heart has stopped beating. So this was one of the real challenges that we had encountered. But overall, I'm absolutely happy I took on this venture. I feel I have taken my rightful place as a citizen of Africa to have worked with my team to have achieved this. What I want from Nanta and Toga, I would like to be able to increase the cost because I would like to provide better quality hotels. We would like the registrations to open and close at least by December or January, so we can work much more efficiently to be able to provide services and secure all our services. And I'm so glad that Palisa is on this webinar, because the South Coast is one of the key areas that we would like fam trips into. And I think the products in the South Coast, be it the adventure, the marine activities, and also the golfing and the lifestyle, is something that we would really want to provide for these delegates. So those are the areas that I'm wanting from Nanta and Toga. We still working on the number of delegates that we would like to handle. I've taken note of the conference request of 2 days at university, which makes it even much more, I think, beneficial to the agents. And the product of going to Kruger on a road trip, that is possible, possibly pre or post the conference. So overall, together with Susan, we will be, and Alisa and other partners like Majaji and Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, we will put together a package which will be much more, it will be improved from last year. I mean, from this year, sorry, from this year. And we will give the opportunity of the delegates learning much more about KwaZulu-Natal, the offerings of KwaZulu-Natal, and also learning or networking with their colleagues at the Tourism Indaba.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much. At this point, I'm going to be bringing in Matachi to ask 1 or 2 questions. But I'm told that Mohammed from South African Tourism is with us and will want to say 1 or 2 things. So, Matachi, if you don't mind, let's take Mohammed. He also would want to say 1 or 2 things. Then you can then ask your questions. Mohammed Kojafa, if you're still with us, please, you have the floor, at least for 5 minutes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. Of course, I wanted actually to, speak much later when kind of, everybody has given their input, because it's quite interesting to hear what everybody actually has to say. The feedback is all taken. I mean, there's a lot of feedback that was shared. We had a lot of things going. For me, personally, this was a very important event or activity. Of course, for the organization, it is very, very vital because it has contributed to South Africa's economic growth to bring in such number of people. And these are not just individuals who are only traveling to the country to come and stay, experience, or spend. These are people that are actually going to, or now have become ambassadors for the country. And that's, I think, for me and for the organization, the bigger part, okay? Because each of those individuals actually have full potentials to be able to drive potential travelers to South Africa, okay, which will therefore increase our arrival numbers, which we also know that will increase spend. Average spend of Nigerian and Ghanaians, West African, basically, when they travel to South Africa is about $2,500. So you can imagine with the number of people that were brought in, which is about 200 people, how much would you then say was, made there? Now, that is just for what we have for the conference. Now look at the bigger picture. Each of these individuals, just take a small number, 10, 20 people. Each of those people, if they bring in such number, imagine the bigger picture. And that's the whole idea. And that's why NCB, which is our National Convention Bureau, they obviously invested as an organization, funds towards facilitating this, starting from, the initial site visit, which was also facilitated for the executives to come and see for themselves what they are planning for the members. And you would all appreciate that this is quite huge and important. And I would also say, Bonnie, with all your effort in there, it also played a very important role. Why also you could hear that the Hotel Sky in Joburg, aside, of course, the integrity service, whilst people were in there, you can understand you have big groups and all of that. But you could see that everybody appreciated the property. Okay, the location was great, and obviously because they've been and they saw. Okay, so I think it's a good thing. And if now Durban is being looked at, I guess same thing will apply, where obviously this visit will happen and all of that. Perhaps maybe you also look at wherever else, because now we have the advantage of time. So earlier planning is key. So that wherever else that is going to be explored, perhaps can be factored into, the pre-visit to ensure. I'm very happy to hear feedback from, all of you in terms of the road trip. I remember when we were bringing this to the table, when I was recommending, let's do the road trip, let's explore, because there's limited time, because we're trying to cut down on costs so that we minimize accommodation and all of that. Was okay. How do we then maximize, the time whilst in the country? And the idea of doing the road trip came in. I was doing a hosting with people that we were taking for Indaba, but guess what? We already had the domestic flight that we we're going to do, but I had to shut it down, including myself, to join in, because that's the whole idea, and I was happy when Madam Machachi was bringing the point around the people-to-people relationship. That is where these things happen. It's not where you have all the luxuries and people are feeling all big and important. No, it's when you get down, it's when you get down. So engaging the locals, doing the road trip, people feeling free. West Africans are generally quite sensitive. Some of the issues West Africans have, is around security, in South Africa, safety and security and all of that. Now you have this group of people and they're just on a road trip. They don't even know where you're taking them, and they go all the way. They stop here, they stop there, they explore, they buy stuff off the road, and all of that. And then they end up, and then you say, then now you go tell them, no, South Africa is not safe, it's not secure. They'll tell you how. Where is that? Because now they've had the ground experience, okay? So these things, they go a long way in providing the comfort that we need. I must say, congratulations, once again to everybody. This whole conversation, it started years back, of course. Bunny, I was privileged to be there when, you even came to the market. And this conversation has started, over how many years ago? And we still kept following it through. So it's great to see that it happened. Surely, I'm sure that if all of us will sit around the table and look at ourselves honestly, there's no way we're going to have 100, 200 people moving from one country to the other, and there won't be issues. I think the most important thing is to look at those issues as areas of improvement, especially because there is a future to this thing. So what are the areas of improvement? What are the learnings? How do we improve on these things so we get better? What are the things that worked and what are the things that didn't work? What are the things that worked that we can amplify and even make it, if we thought this one was wow, how do we make it wower, if there's a word like that, so I think all of this is what we should just bring to fore. So it's all good and well to bring it all out, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. Bring it all out, put it all out, and then importantly would therefore be the recommendations that should follow. I would like to employ everybody, if you're going to bring up a challenge or a shortcoming that must have happened along the line, please endeavor to also just put forward a bit of a recommendation. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is perfect, nothing is good, nothing is wrong. Just bring it out to the table, because you might never know. You might have an idea. The process for that idea to happen might be 1 to 5. In your line of thinking, you might be thinking of it at 1 to 2. Somebody else in the room might have the extension of that idea from the 3 to 5. So if you bring a bit to the table, somebody could fine tune it. And before you know, we actually have a full plan in place. So please, let's be open to put it forward, to put our recommendations forward, and then let's try and look at it. Once again, early start is great. I'm happy, Bani, already you're looking at these things coming out, package being done, and put forward already before the end of the year. Indaba dates are out. If it's going to also be around Indaba dates are out already. So there's nothing to wait for any longer. It's just to build whatever it is that needs to be built around it. I mean, a lot of the things that you've used worked. The transport was great. Personally, I was on there. I mean, I've traveled by road across a lot of times, but this was great, especially where you were also with people. And everybody in here is part of the industry. So, they actually feed us. It's quite impressive to hear Madam Alisa reiterating how she's going to include it in her packages. And that's the truth. If I was meant to share our experience metrics, we tried a lot to encourage the road trip. A lot of people travel to South Africa, but they just go one city and do and leave, and South Africa is much more than that. The variety of colors represent the diversity of offerings. There is so much, and you can mix. If you know about colors, when you mix the white and the yellow, you get a green. So in the flag, you see there is white, there is yellow, but there is also green, which means that you can enjoy green, you can enjoy white and yellow and still get a green. You can also still enjoy green and yellow at the same time. So there's so much. So if you go in, try and explore. Now already, Gauteng and Limpopo is planning a speed train. For those who are in Lagos, I mean, the new trains that were introduced here, it's a big game changer. It makes life is cheaper, it's more efficient. It's an experience of its own. People that were on the How train from, the airport from OR to Sandton, it's an experience of its own, and it's cheaper. It's much more it's quicker. In 15 minutes, you're in Sandton. It's convenient, and you also experience nice scenic beauty, scenic views on your way. So it's a wholesome in one, and I think those are the type of things that we can look at and try and break the trip where people can explore things along the way. Of course, an opportunity for me to cite some examples. When I'm doing trips to the Northwest, especially like to Sun City, Madam Achachi Bani, I'm sure you will know there's the engine, gas station on the way. The first one by the junction. There's actually a woman that sells fish across the road. I don't know if you've even noticed, but I promise you, a lot of the guys from here, they actually know, because they can't even wait for us to stop there. Anytime I actually have a group, we stop there to get fuel or just for people to have a minute to ease themselves. But I promise you, everybody goes across the road. Her fish it gets finished, because she has a lot of chili that she puts in there, which resonates with, with us. And that's but the key thing there is they are now engaging with locals. Locals they don't know. And to Madam Ibiware's point, earlier, people that don't know, random people, and that will change a lot of the perception that we are all struggling with. And there it will now build a positive, outlook we're looking at in terms of Africans appreciating Africa. Africa is ours. If you want the luxury, it's there. If you also want down the line, it's there. So let's explore, let's use what we've got, but more importantly, let's use the experience to build a better future for ourselves, for the industry, and for the continent as a whole. Thank you so much. I will stop here for now.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. We appreciate your contribution, and we are really happy that you're here with us, because your contribution definitely is very important to the success of the webinar. Machachi, if you're there, it's time for you to ask the question you wanted to ask Bonnie.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us. We really appreciate it. I just wanted to ask, it's going to be to Bunny, but also to Susan and Alisa. First of all, to you, Bunny, what would you say were the return on investment that you as African Link Travel has been able to achieve in the partnership that you had with NANTA and TUGA by bringing this conference here? That is the question to you, Bunny. And the second one that you can actually, either you, Alisa, or Susan can answer. It sounds like the decision has been made where the conference is going next year. Other provinces, when we started the IIPT, the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, Eastern Cape Tourism Board came on board and supported us. So they were asking us on the side, where's the conference going next year? So has that decision been made, Susan, Bunny, and Alisa? That is to you both. Either one of us can take that question. Then to Susan and Alisa as well. What other countries took part in the conference? Because I know it was predominantly Nigerian delegates and Ghanaian delegates, but I think with this platform, it's important to also give recognition to other countries that were part of the conference, because it's all about Africa. We all want to encourage them to also speak to their members that we must do things together. So I think giving them acknowledgement here, Madam Mr. Facilitator, will really also give them credence to say it's not only about Nigeria and Ghana, but it's also the rest of Africa that was here. So I thought Alisa and Susan can answer that question. And then I know you're not going to give me this platform again, so I'm just going to maximize it so I can shut up. Mohammed, I wanted to and it's actually not really a Mohammed question, it's a you facilitator. I didn't hear you asking our wonderful panel there about the Africa tourism Indaba, the Africa travel tourism Indaba. What was the impression there, from the delegate and things like that? Because I know you're going to open up for the delegates to also pose some questions as well. So I just thought maybe I remind you on that note, but also to say that colleagues, people are also watching us on live on YouTube, so that it becomes a broader audience that can come on board. So let me give it back to you, Shay, with those questions that I've articulated. Maybe you can reshape them if people didn't understand it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Machachi. I think you have asked them well, and I was actually planning to ask our audience about the African travel in Indaba, because of course we have to manage this time as much as possible. So without further ado, I want Bonnie and to first react to the question that was given. What was your return on capital? Was it worth your while? Was it something that made business sense to you? Bonnie?
Thank you. I think my ROI on this conference far exceeded my expectations. I didn't only benefit in a business wise, but I also benefited personally. There's definitely been greater understanding on the Nigerian and Ghanaian market. I still have a lot to learn, but I think I've been privileged enough to learn about their culture, about their food preferences. And I must state at this point, for some reason, when we were looking at the menus, I didn't ever realize that Nigerian cuisine took a lot of chili. And that for me was dumbfounding, because the clients must have found the meals very, very bland and boring. So it was something that I learned very much. Trust was created because there's been so much of skepticism between Nigerians and South Africans and vice versa. And between Nanta, Toga, and all of us that participated in the conference, trust was the most important thing. And also, I found that agents that participated in the conference have been contacting me and seeing me as someone that they can get bona fide information. So that is brilliant, because they're seeing me as a person who will be able to be their guiding light in South Africa. Now, you cannot get that at any price. So I'm really glad that the ROIs have been excellent for both African Link Travel and myself personally. And I do think that I benefited much more out of this, and it has helped me understand West Africa a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bunny. Susan, so the question, I'll start from you. In your opinion, what are the things you feel that we can do to have other countries join on this? Because again, it's important that we not just see this as a West Africa, South African thing. We need to, like Machasi said, for the whole of Africa. And if they had joined us before, are you reaching out to them, or do you have plans to reach out to other African countries? Susan.
Yes, definitely. It's an African thing. So we will love that next year we have other African countries get involved. I've been speaking with the president of the Tour Association in Cameroon, and I'm in Botswana here. When I discussed, when the vice president and the minister visited the Nanta stand here, and I had to tell them what Nanta has been doing and what we have been involved in. And the minister specifically said that I need to meet their own president, the president of the Travel and Tourism Association in Botswana as well, so that I can discuss this African initiative of this conference with them. So that is the plan, definitely, to engage other presidents of Tourism Association, Travel Agencies Association. I was in Kenya last week. So I already spoke with the president of Qatar and Kato. Qatar is the Kenya Association of Travel Agents. Kato is Kenya Association of Tour Operators. Yeah, I was with them last week, and I've spoken to them, and I told them I will send them information as it comes. So that's the whole idea, that every year we get 1, 2, 3 other African countries, the travel professionals in those countries join this conference, and also use this to also request that my sister Alisa would do the same. Maybe she knows some other presidents that I might not know, so she can as well do the same from her own end. Any other presidents of tourism association that she knows in Africa, she can equally reach out to them too. I want to make this request while I'm reaching out to the ones that I know too as well. So that's the plan, definitely. And we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes.
Thank you so much, Susan. Alisa, Machasi asked a question. She said that she had, I think, was it Eastern Cape that was already talking to her about this? And it seemed as if you guys have concluded that this is going to Durban. So the question I'd like to reiterate is it a closed thing, or is there still opportunity to look at other provinces, or we're definitely going to Durban? Susan, I want to contribute, but Alisa, maybe, yes.
No, well, I think it's not concluded yet. We're talking about Cape Town, Durban, but it hasn't been concluded. We're still talking. So the confirmation will come later. And also, to buttress what my sister said, in terms of expanding the promotion. During our time, we were able to bring somebody from Cameroon, and she came and observed and witnessed it, and she was happy. And I had a conversation with her last week. We were talking about this Nanta Tuga conference, and she really wants to work out. And I'm happy that my sister is already in touch with the president of the Tour Association in Cameroon. And she's also promised that she will work out so that they can mobilize their people to come. So, but in terms of the destination where we are going to hold it, it's for me, we haven't concluded. So we'll later let you know. Susan is here. Maybe she has something to say. Thank you.
Okay, Susan,
Yes,
maybe you want to continue.
Thank you, Alisa. Oh, yes. You know, South Africa signed a 3-year contract. And the 3-year contract means the conference will go to their 3 major destinations, Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. So next, we have done Johannesburg already. So we have Cape Town and Durban left. So whether we do Durban next year or Cape Town next year, the last year will either be any of the two. So next year is either of the two. The final year is still either of the two, because that is the agreement. 3 years in 3 destinations, Johannesburg, Durban, Cape Town. So that answers the question of have we made up our mind, or we can consider other province. I've already said it. So whether we do Cape Town next year or Durban next year, it's all good. Then the last year will be the last province that we have not done. So that's how it works. It's going to be in those 3 provinces.
All right, thank you so much, Susan. Now it's time to throw this to the house. Okay, I see Mohammed raising his hands. Mohammed, you want to say something?
Yes, please. On the point around where I see it's becoming a debate. So now it's, I don't know if it's going to be the highest bidder issue. Bonnie, if now it's a competitive thing. The good thing is I just wanted to say that there are 9 amazing, fully loaded and welcoming provinces. So it's okay to send in an addendum to amend the 3 years to 9 years. I just wanted to mention that. And I see Madam President is laughing. I just thought, we said if there's a challenge, we must come. We said if there's a challenge, we must come forward with recommendations. So I see there's a challenge. So I thought, let me throw in a recommendation that it's okay, to send in an addendum to say, look, can we extend this from 3 years to 9 years so that we are able to cover, all the provinces? Most welcome. Thank you so much.
And Alista, Mohammed wants you to be, maybe it's our grandchildren that will eventually do other parts of Africa. If we do one country for 9 years, then when do we get to go to other African countries?
Don't mind the South Africans, you see.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for Jaffa. So I'm going to be throwing the questions to the house right now. I'm only able to take 4 questions. So if you have any question, please quickly indicate, but I will ask a question now, and I'll expect who is able to quickly ask or answer that question would help, and would then go on from there. Now, as those who were participants at the conference and the Indaba, like Matati earlier indicated, I want to ask, the conference obviously have been said to be very successful. It was a wonderful experience they had at the university. It was really nice. People were even saying one day was too short. They would want it extended. Now, I'd like to ask you, what was your experience like at the African Travel Indaba? Because obviously, as a person, I believe that this is probably one of the biggest travel events that we have on the continent of Africa. But let me just throw it out right now. Anyone out there, what was your experience like at the African Travel Indaba, especially for those whose were coming for the event for the first time? Any answer?
Ibiwari Uloma had indicated that she wanted to say something. Maybe she can start. I don't know.
Okay, well, it wasn't my first time at the Indaba. I don't even remember what I did at Indaba because I was busy coordinating my members. So I'm not quite sure I have a recollection of what I did besides experiencing the Qatar business class suite, you know. So, but I guess it was as usual, a fulfilling experience for the beat I was able to participate in. I wish there was a first timer who will give their own perspective, but for me, it didn't disappoint. And some of the contacts, of course, I made there are things that are working out for me. But that's not the area I wanted to cover. I don't know whether I have to come back to it or I should just go ahead and speak about some of the things I wanted to mention generally. Is that okay?
No, just go ahead. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to talk about next steps and how probably suggest a few things that will help us get the next one, you know, more interesting. This last one was interesting, but we could do more. I'm a believer in there's something else, there's something more we can do better. Now, Mo has spoke something about something he called experience metrics. I think that was what was lacking in the last outing. We didn't get scientific feedback from our members using whatever instrument that was required. I think we should include that in the next one. What would that do for us? When we get that feedback, it will be easy for us to go back to the drawing table and say, okay, this is a no, this is a yes. And actually have people speak. I wish everybody was here now, but they are not. But that's one key instrument we should be able to include in the next one to be able to have people, assess what they feel about the experience. Now, the second thing I want to say is in this next edition, I would like us to focus on two things that will help us actually even decide on what the destination will be. And that's what I called, it should be a business-focused itinerary, number one. It should be a business-focused itinerary. What do I mean by that? Delegates who are coming for this event are business owners. And I'm sure that when they go back, they will want to be able to create businesses for themselves, for their clients. Somebody, I think it was Mo who mentioned, if you multiply the number of delegates and the people they will bring, because that's the ultimate goal. It's not just about us traveling, but it's about us creating businesses out of that travel. So we should focus on itineraries, programs that will embolden the capacity of the delegates in these three areas: education, experience, and engagement. When these three things happen, education, they now know the products, they know the areas that will be sellable to their clients. So they're educated, they experience it, they taste it, and are able to say, oh yeah, this is it. And then they're engaged, they're able to sign MOUs with people who will help them deliver on this product to their clients. So at the end of the day, every delegate that attends has attended, had the experience, is educated about the destination, and goes back home to package, products that he or she will sell to his clients. And of course, the goal will be achieved ultimately on both sides. Those are areas I would like us to look at when we're choosing destination. Let it be business focused. What will be the after effect of it for every delegate that is coming? Those are the things I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uloma. And if I get what you're saying, beyond just going to the university to learn, let us have a situation where we have like a trade show where we bring sellers to the table as well, so that at the end of the day, this would help the delegates, those who come, to sort of go back home with MOU. Is that what you're saying?
No, not a trade show, because Indaba is there already. Indaba is there. I'm talking about engagement.
So beyond, sorry to interject you, beyond Indaba, what you're saying is going to those destinations, you want the situations where clear business B2B is arranged, so that it's not just, a fun thing, because these are business people and the journey must make sense to them at the end of the day. All right.
Yes.
Does any other person? Yes. Does any other person have anything to say before I have chance for 3 other questions and contributions? Apart from
Sure.
our speaker.
Shay, I want to see if I'm understanding what Uloma is saying, because from what I'm hearing, it sounds like she's also making reference to that B2B kind of opportunities for networking to be at the conference itself before Indaba. So Indaba, it's there already. You know, you are at Indaba because you have to do those meetings and go and speak to those operators and do some deals on site. But I think Uloma is making reference to the conference itself, that in the conference, it should not only be those presentational speakers and panel discussion and all that, but we should build in it an opportunity for a facilitated networking B2B where people actually can really exchange business cards and actually do transactions.
Yes, that's what I've just retweeted. Yes, that's what she's saying. So when we go to those destinations, we have clear B2B. So at the destination, so yes. Does that?
I think the next other person, Maletola Matube, she has a hand up. Let her unmute yourself and then ask your question, input or comments.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocol observed. It's my first time attending this meeting. I didn't even know that it's actually a continental meeting. I'm so excited. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm the founder of Africa Day Summit, which we are planning to host the very first one in the Vaal Triangle. A place that normally probably not everybody knows. That's the reason we actually having this summit in the Vaal Triangle, which will be a 3-day event on Africa Month from the 23rd to the 25th of May every year. So I just thought I should take this opportunity to introduce myself and also ask in terms of processes and compliance and regulatory, to say this forum, how can it assist to ensure that we have all the countries attending the summit? If we can't get all the countries, at least get a SADC, if we can know the processes that are required for everyone to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for, yes. Please go ahead, Machachi, just take on. Let's run, because you're able to see them better. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Maletola, thank you very much. I don't know who will respond to this question, but I'm thinking, Mohammed, you are better placed to be able to answer that question. And Bani, because Bani is not only the managing director of African Link Travel and the director of the Peace Through Tourism Southern Africa, she's also the chairperson of the Southern African Tourism Services Association of KwaZulu-Natal. So, Bani, I think between you and Mohammed, you can answer Maletola's question. Yeah?
Thanks, Masatsi. I think equally you are just as equipped also to answer their question. I would suggest that we take this discussion offline, and we'll provide Maletola with our contact details so that she can communicate with you or me offline, if that's agreeable, so that we can get more involved in the impressions of Indaba from the other delegates. Would that be okay with you, Maletola?
Sure, that will be okay. I would just like to mention.
I also agree. Oh, okay, sorry. I just wanted to say, Bonnie, I also agree with you that the SADC conversation should also be done, offline, so that we look at the process of how.
Back to you, Shay.
Okay, do we have all the people? I have room for one more, and I really, really want somebody else other than those who have spoken so far to speak, so that we're sure that everybody's thought is taken into account. Maletela, once again, we thank you for contributing. Really is important to us that this is widely spread. Does anyone else have anything he wants to say before we go on? Whilst we're waiting, the next item we're going to be taking is a way forward. And the way I want to go about this is I'm going to give the three speakers opportunity, like two minutes or three, to say one or two things on the plan going forward. Matati you're going to be the one that is going to wrap this up before I do the closing remark. So we'll take the three of them, starting from Bonnie right now. She was the last person we took. She will do like a 3 to 4 minutes maximum. More like way forward. What are the things we're looking at, going forward, from here? Because for us, this is a business engagement, and we really do not want to waste anybody's time. At the end of the day, we want to be able to have very solid things we're going to take away from here. And without a doubt, next year's event will be a lot better, more successful, by the grace of God. So if we do not have any other person, I don't see any hands up, maybe we should just start with a way forward. Bernie, if you're ready, let's have you. We'll take Alisa and Susan before we take Masashe. Bernie.
Ollie, I would really prefer Alisa and Susan to go before me so that I can capture what their thoughts are to include in what my way forward is. If you don't mind.
That's fine. And yes, I don't mind at all. That's fine. Alisa, will you want to do us the honors to start? Way forward, 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, as we have rightly said, our project, it's a fantastic one. It's a good initiative. After COVID, we all decided that, look, we have to promote inter-African tourism. And that is what we've started. Now, we have come up with recommendations. I would advise that the recommendation that has been discussed, we have to go by it so that we can improve on this project as compared to last year. Last year was successful, but we could do better. And what I can also chip in is transparency and communication is key. And also the promotion, extending it to other Africans as well. And this will indeed help us. And it will help us to move forward and forward ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alisa, for keeping it very short and simple and straight to the point. Obviously, we're going to be doing more talks even outside of the webinar, so we thank you so much. Susan, if you're ready, let's have your own thoughts as well before we start wrapping this up.
Yeah, the way forward is, for me, let's start talking. As early as later 2 weeks' time, yeah? Let's start talking, because Bonnie had mentioned she would really prefer registration and everything to be closed December, latest January, for easy planning. So that means we need to start talking ASAP. From next week, maximum 2 weeks from now, let's start meeting. Let's start talking. What are our options? What is on the table? Let's start making the plan and kick the ball rolling. If the December, January date is going to be possible, we need to start planning now, putting our minds together on what the program will look like. Just infuse everything in and come up with a good cost and everything. Then, of course, because that is the only way that communication can now go out to members for them to start registering, for us to meet up with the December timeline. I want to believe Bonnie has taken into consideration everything that has been said, especially feedbacks and what Uloma said. So at the last minute is also very critical. So for me, way forward, thank you for this meeting, Majoji. It was very good. It's time for us to sit down and think through what has been done and what can be done better. So now we have done this meeting. The next one should be planning phase, planning, because also the planning also delayed. That was one of the things that also delayed, coupled with so many hiccups here, that made the one of this year go the way it went. So please, that's just what I'll say. Way forward. Let's just start planning immediately. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. I believe that is well noted. Thank you so much. Bernie, if you're ready, let's have you, please.
Oh, yes, I am ready. I think with the feedback from my two sisters, I definitely am ready. I've just put some points down. The package needs to be improved.
Annie?
Yeah.
Sorry, can we facilitate? Can we allow Mohammed to come in? Because I think Bani speaks last.
Of
course. Mohammed is good. Yeah.
Yes, Mohammed, we can have you, please. Sorry, I didn't see your hands. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Look, I like the fact that we're looking forward, and I've got a few ideas in my well-shaped head, and I thought that let me bring it to fore. Okay.
It's really well shaped. Now that you even mentioned your head, Mohammed, I've been looking at this and I've been wanting to make a comment. Yeah, but I've not had the chance. Now you mentioned the well-shaped head, so I thought this was my chance to make that comment. It makes you really look different. What happened?
I
Sorry,
had to
guys,
clean
I'm
the
so
head
sorry.
very. I had to clean the head very well so that all the knocks and all the rubbing of head that will come in this meeting will enter very well. Yeah, so that all the brain cells will. So yeah, so I think I just want to throw in a few key points from where I sit, and of course, in support of the success of all of this. Of course, having in mind, you know, the experiences, you know, being right involved of everything. Okay, I think first and foremost, swiftly a decision needs to be made on the next destination. Nothing can start if a decision has not been made on where is the next destination. So I would say that should be the first thing, and it needs to happen as soon as possible. Yes, indeed, the 3-year plan, looking at the 3 key cities, Joburg has been done beautifully. Well done. There was indeed a bit of extension of Indaba, which is good because it adds value to the trip, not just from a destination point, but from also the business side and the learnings and, you know, the entirety of the travel. So I think a decision needs to be made. And I would say that at this point, that value still sits. You know, if you look at the Joburg Durban with the Indaba, I think there's still value there. Cape Town, if you're thinking Cape Town to be the third, I would not say it's a bad idea also, because I mean, typically you find a lot of people looking at Cape Town like it's kind of like, you know, well, of course, one of the big top places. Even me, when we're doing itineraries, most times we'll try and, you know, finish off in Cape Town. So you get people kind of finishing up in a high. So I think it's not a bad idea. So if that decision can be made as soon as possible, I think it's very, very important because everything depends on it. Okay. So that needs to happen as soon as possible. Following that, obviously, needs to be then engagements within each association with their members. You know, of course, I'm readily available to provide support and assistance as always. You know, around even the experience metrics and how we can try and fine tune some of these recommendations. You know, KZN, Bonnie, I think you would know 2 years ago, even Madam Susan, Madam Alisa, you remember 2 years ago, which was 2022, when we did Indaba, we did a test run of a package also, and KZN was one of the provinces that came quite big on the party where we did diversified experiences. So I think also a good opportunity sits there. They also understand and appreciate the market and you know, the people. So I think it will make life perhaps a bit easier there. So I think it will be a good one. I think that the follow-up engagements therefore will be very key to be able to sensitize the members, get all the inputs and all of that to fine-tune itinerary and all. In terms of timeline, I think, Bonnie, you're on point. The high-level timeline you're putting forward is key. If that can happen, we're already in the Ember month. This needs to be finalized, lockdown before December. This was the plan even last year, but obviously so now I think with all the learnings, we need to step up and just, you know, move on with it so that can happen before the end of the year. People can make the commitments, you know, and all of that, whatever little commitment it is, so that as soon as it's coming through next year, and next year is coming in, people are just finalizing more or less. Okay, so I think that's critical. Then I want to make some other recommendations. It's a bit to shake the table, but I think it's also going to add a lot more value and diversification. And Madam President, I hope you are there and hearing me. Bunny, also very important, but I'm thinking that, so this past one, you did the main conference in Joburg, right? And UJ was on board quite nicely. And then there was a trip extension for Indaba. Now, some people didn't make last year. Okay, so they didn't make the Joburg leg. Joburg, from this market being an air market, is actually the first touch point. Basically, all the airlines, which is almost 12 of the 13 airlines that fly from this market to South Africa have a touch point, the first touch point in South Africa, in Joburg. Okay, so it's an important touch point. And therefore, I think that there is a very important opportunity there for those who, for a dual conference, let me even put it that way, where people can actually do the Joburg one for UJ, those that didn't make it this year, okay? And still then extend to KZN, where perhaps, I don't know if that's your plan, maybe you're looking at the KZN one with University of KwaZulu-Natal, I don't know. Madam Susan, 2022, we met this professor. I'm sure you'll be able to remember. I even have his details somewhere. But there's this professor,
Yes,
he's
I
actually
remember.
a Nigerian. Yes, but he's a professor in the tourism department, I think tourism marketing or something like that in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes, I remember that man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think, such a contact, then there goes a facilitation process. And already we've got a blueprint because we've done it with UJ. So it's just to say, look, guys, here's a blueprint already. Can we replicate? And of course, with KZM, guys on the table, I think there goes a plan. Now, why did this idea come in? Why did this idea came in? Because then we can actually have a dual win, where those that didn't make this year can still go and achieve the Joburg one, okay, at UJ, and then they can extend to also do a second one in KZN. This means that those who didn't make this year, as a form of compensation, they can actually attend next year and even achieve both, if it makes sense, okay? And then those who have attended this year in UJ can then also still go next year, and they can still achieve a certification with KwaZulu-Natal, University of KwaZulu-Natal. Obviously, topics can be diversified. I mean, tourism is huge. Whatever the topic was that was dealt with for UJ, perhaps it would be a different topic for KZN, so that the certification also, makes sense. You're not repeating the same thing, even though it's a different institution, but then also it's important to diversify the knowledge. So here, therefore, I think will be a good value add. And that's why, Madam Uloma, I said you should please stay, because I think from a, from a content generation, value contribution for the trip, to be able to say, look, guys, on this trip, you can achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5, okay? So that is one area that I think can be considered. Then the next point here is, why can't there be a West Africa stand at ATI next year, 2024? Why can't there be, Madam President?
God bless you, Mohammed. God bless
why
you.
Can't there be? Because
honestly,
now you
why?
see,
I agree with you.
Because now you're talking, we're talking about,
Yeah,
we're talking about people who they've now gone, they've had a bit of an experience. Yeah, we've got the few challenges, but guess what, guys? Definitely now, with all the learnings and the confidence everybody has about the how, it's surely going to be much better, God willing, next year. So if you package this value proposition properly, and now NCB2, they were on the table, SAT has been on the table, bring the conversation, take it a step forward. Why can't you then have a West Africa stand there, where then you have people have an opportunity to actually, go in, they're doing the certification, they're exploring, they're going to attend the biggest tourism fair on the continent, and they can actually have an opportunity to showcase themselves. Remember, Africa Travel Indaba is not a South Africa Travel Indaba or a South Africa Travel Conference. It's an Africa Travel Conference. So if we're talking about African travel for Africans, there's no better platform. There is no better platform. And West Africa hasn't been there. I don't want to say Nigeria and Ghana. I think if you put it together as a West Africa thing, I think that brings to the table. And there you're going to have the rest of the Senegal or Benin or other West African countries will come knocking on the door to say, hey, guys, we need to be under this umbrella. We need to also be part of it. After all, you see there's an East Africa one and there's a SADC one. So why can't there be? So I think this conversation can go that way. And there it's also beyond just being an opportunity also. Thank you, madam. Beyond also being an opportunity for the members, it's also a very good platform for revenue generation. Because surely if you are coming with 200 to 300, if we had 200 people now, I'm confident that we can have 400 for next year. If we start early, we put this value proposition quite nicely, I believe we can, it's doable. But now, obviously, you can't have 400 people, all on the platform. So maybe you can categorize the value contribution, the value proposition. People who probably want to have, a stand full on, and what you can, Bunny, I'm sure you know better how to put together, and we can talk about these things as we move forward, but have a category of people who probably want to have a full stand there, other people who just probably want to have just a table there, so they can also have an opportunity to do their own meetings, because guess what? There are people around the continent who also want to travel to West Africa, in fact, and for us, yes, we are focused on South Africa travel, but hey, guess what? We are an air market, and if we don't facilitate a two-way travel, the airlines are not going to be able to sustain if they are doing a one-way. That's the truth. And if there's no airlines flying from this market, we can't sell the destination, because the airline won't fly one way. Because if they fly one way, they're going to charge you for the cost of two-way, and it's going to be way more expensive. So we are not turning our backs against encouraging a two-way traffic. Okay, so there goes an opportunity. A lot of people come to Lagos is a big thing. Even South Africans. Matachi, a lot of the colleagues there. Bunny, Bunny, now you've been coming here. Why have you been coming? Because there's things that you also want to come and engage with. This is how you form the relationship. And today, look at where it's going. So there are people also who have such dream. We did the roadshow last year. We had about 20-something odd South Africans that we came with here to the market. They had an amazing time. Madam Susan, Madam Alisa, thank you so much with all your members. They still talk about it till tomorrow, not till today, till tomorrow. A huge number of them have come and come again. Let me even surprise you. One of them, it's her birthday. She can't even do her birthday anywhere in the world. She's actually in Lagos to do her birthday. And last year, her mom's birthday, she brought her also. So it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. So I think there's a huge opportunity. It's some new government in Nigeria. Perhaps maybe if there wasn't interest before, maybe here goes an opportunity to pick up the file again. Ghana is big also. They've been pushing tourism, and there's a lot of tourism products. So I think there's an opportunity for a West Africa stand. And I think it's a now conversation, to try and get it onto the table. And then lastly, around pre and post trips. This also then, Bunny, it sits more, I think, with you to try. And I know last year, because of timing and cost and all of that, and of course it was the first one, so there was a lot of, but I think it's a very big thing to do, because a lot of people, of course, want to maximize. One of the key things we as South African Tourism promote the destination for is that value. There's so much value in the market, in the destination. And we want to show that value from the opportunity that people have. So you go in, it's like you kill many birds with one stone, okay? Most times when I do hostings, I always see, because we can't do everything at once, but you see, I do a hosting, we're going to 2-3 provinces, people still want to spend some few more days, either before or after, to do a few other things or explore a few other things. So I think there's a huge opportunity for pre and post experiences, which can be, well packaged. So those are just some of the few things that just came up, my shaved head as we're having the conversations. And I thought that let me, throw them to the table. I'm happily available for us to discuss further and, continue to work on this thing and see how we can make it even a bigger success for next year. So thank you very much all. And yeah, cheers.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you. Matachi, you have the floor. We have a few minutes to go, so quickly take the floor. Matachi, quickly.
Okay, am I audible?
Matachi.
Hold on. Yes, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. Because I think there was a little bit of interruptions there. I don't know whether it's mine or it's other people. Okay. So thank you so much, Shay, for this opportunity. Let me thank everybody, all our speakers, the two presidents of NANTA and Truga. Let me thank my colleague, Ms. Banibula from African Link Travel. Let me also thank Mohammed. I know that he's very stressed out in terms of work, but Mohammed, we appreciate you making the time and the input that you've given us. But also we appreciate the support that you have really given you and Tekiso to make the conference possible, and the fact that you signed that 3-year contract to really, from where we sit as the Peace Through Tourism Southern Africa, to foster peaceful relations between our countries, but also trade as part of advancing the African free trade agreement. I think you really have to be commended, and we really appreciate it. So in terms of way forward, from where we sit as IIPTC, so we would like to take the insights from this webinar that we are going to publish it. One, it's going to be on our website, the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism in Southern Africa. But we also have a few publications, both online and print, that have indicated an interest in the insights from this webinar. But it begins to start showing you the kind of interest that the trade in South Africa are having in terms of improving our own relations with West Africa. And so we will let you know through both Susan, Alisa, and Bunny when some of these articles comes through. We will try and find a way to be able to let you know what it's all about. But I know that this input is definitely going to go into the planning that everybody has been talking about by Bunny and her team as a PCO, and of course with Susan and Alisa, and of course with Mohammed. So all this insight that you've given, it's very, very critical and very valuable, that when we do things, we always have to look back and start saying, what did we do well? What didn't we do well? What are the areas for improvement? As everybody has been saying, there's always room for improvement. And that's how we move forward. You cannot move forward without being able to reflect on that what you've done, and whether you've done it well or you haven't done it well, so that we make this continent of ours great, but we actually make it attractive for Africans to travel their own continent, to travel their own countries. Luxuries are not only in Europe or in NYC or wherever. We have luxuries in Africa, if it's luxury you're looking for. But if you're looking for the conservation which Africa is known for in the ground outdoors, that's what we have in abundance. From Botswana with the Okavango Delta. Susan, I hope you get given a post tour of Botswana. The Okavango Delta is such a fantastic area. You go to the confluence of the Zambezi River between Botswana, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. It's a beautiful spot. You go to West Africa from Senegal, to Benin, to Ivory Coast, to Nigeria, to Ghana, the beautiful food that we have and the trucks that we have there, to Cameroon, Central Africa. We got it all. We go to East Africa, Ethiopia, great destinations that we have in Africa. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we unite as the trade, we share knowledge, we share experiences and skills so that we can package Africa better, we make it attractive for our people to travel, but most importantly, we improve people-to-people relations. That's what this webinar was all about. So this is how we're going to use your input and insights going forward, and hopefully to make things better in that regard. So on that note, I really want to thank everybody, and I want to hand over to Shay.
Thank you so much, Machachi, and I want to especially thank everybody. I had the temptation to kind of reel out everything everybody have said, but because of time, I cannot do that. I know that we've talked about the fact that we need to say, but I cannot do that. It seems like my network is playing up. But can you like my network is playing up?
Yeah, like it. Yeah, now we can hear you. So I think you, as a facilitator, please help to summarize as well. I think we can still still a bit of time there, because we've been listening to all of us giving input, but I think it's always good for somebody to pull it all together, and who better to do that than yourself. So yes, you are.
Okay, fantastic. So we've talked about the fact that we need to quickly take care of the venue. It's important that we do that, because if we do not do, like Mohammed said, the venue, we will not be able to move forward. So we need to quickly take care of the venue. The other thing he talked about, which is also very, very important, to quickly take care of the venue. is the fact that we need to have a West African stand. The fact we need to have I think that is also very, very important. And another thing that we talked about is the revenue. The fact that we need to look at this as a package that we all can sell. So we're not just going to have members come, we would have a situation where we sell this Africa travel in Naba. I think it's very, very critical, and I think it's a very, very important point that is made there, because the truth of the matter is, I thought about it as well, that rather than just narrow these down to just our members, we should look at it as an opportunity where we can sell the African travel in Daba, because I consider it a peculiar experience that we should look at selling. The other thing that I also believe that is important that we have also touched on is the fact that we are looking at extending this. And the two presidents, the president of Nanta and Togo, have promised that they are going to look at a situation, which is one of the things Mohammed also touched on, having the West African stand. So I think it's time to reach out to our brothers in Republic of Benin and all of the other countries in West Africa, so that we would be able to take full advantage of this Africa travel endeavor. Essentially, like I said, I would like to thank everyone for their contribution. Work starts now, that's the agreement. Bonnie had said that the earlier we start, the better for all of us. And I believe that the two presidents are also in agreement with this, because they had said that we would, even Madam Susan suggested that we should start in 2 weeks and start talking to ourselves, so that we start to plan and sort of act on our plans as early as possible. We then can show that in every way. Hello, are you there?
Yes, we
Am I
are
being
here,
heard?
Shay. Yes.
Yes, we hear.
Yes.
Okay, so if we start on time, we will be able to achieve more, and it will be a better deal for everyone. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for being part of this very, very important webinar. Machati, thank you so much. Bunny, thank you so much. We also thank President, thank you for making out time, not minding the fact that they're on a very busy schedule. They decided to come share the word. And I believe that the things he said when we were starting actually set a very good tone for this webinar. I'm sorry about the network. The network is playing up so much. And I think I have another hand up before we complete. There's a Regina who wants to say something.
Yeah, to do, and also I would like us facilitated to allow our host, who is also a very key colleague within the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, Dr. Riza Soltani, to speak at the end after Regina, as we close our facilitator. Thank you so much. Regina, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. This Regina from Ghana, Africa. Please, can you hear me? It's like...
Yes, we can. Regina, go ahead. Okay. Yes.
I was very happy that you've thought of West Africa. But one area we have to look at is also the speed marketing. If we can have every, continent having showcase what they also have or bringing on board, I think it will help, because if we go to the speed marketing, it's always about South Africa, and we say we are promoting Africa. So if we are thinking about having a stand for West Africa, it's a I'm really excited about that. But they should go deeper and think about we also being on that speed marketing platform, because it's going to help all of us. We dress early to be there, and we learn only about South Africa, which is unfair to the other African continents. We also have beautiful things we want to showcase to the world. And I believe that is another platform for us to showcase it. Thank you. So we should look at that if we are doing an intensive planning for that.
Regina, thank you very much for that. I'm taking over because Shay's got a bit of a challenge there. I know Mohammed has got his hand up to respond, but what I suspect Mohammed wants to respond to this. But and I hope Mohammed, I'm not going to predict what you're going to say. What I do know is that the Africa Traveling Dharma organizers, they're always the event program that you see as part of the Africa Traveling Dharma. You know, different organizations and businesses can put their own event there. So I think you can certainly, you know, collaborate with Mohammed if you are having that West Africa stand. I don't think you'll be prevented to actually say we want to have an event on the calendar called Speed Marketing West Africa. From my own past experience, this is it's always possible that an organization could submit events to South African tourism and organizers, then they put it on the map and then invite people to come to those events. But let me leave it to Mohammed to also add, and he can contradict what I've said. Maybe things are different now. But thank you so much, Regina. That's a great idea. Mohammed, over to you.
Okay, firstly, Regina, thank you so very much for that input. Regina is actually our official West African dancer and queen mother. She always stands out. But Madam Achachi, you are very right. That is how actually it happens. Indeed, the speed marketing one that you attend, the one in that meeting, I think it was room 11 or so, it's typically the one organized by South African Tourism. I'm sure you've seen various other countries and regions that they're also organizing their own so-called speed market. They might not necessarily have called it speed marketing, but you find a Rwanda doing a Rwanda day or a Gauteng doing a Gauteng hour where they invite people specifically to come. And you see some of them, they even have their small boardrooms or small rooms that or certain meeting rooms that are being booked. So all of this, it's actually an open platform. It just depends on what ideas you're bringing to the table. If you want to have a tech moment or a tech day or you know, whatever it is. So this now depends on what the plan is. If you're going to now have a West Africa, what is the plan? You know, what are the things that you want to bring to the table? Hence, when I was mentioning earlier, I said this is an opportunity to even kind of categorize, you know, the different participation where people can have specific stands. Other people, they might not have stands, but they can probably participate in a speed marketing session where, you know, South African products or even globally, those who are attending, who are interested in West African market can come to attend, you know, so they come and showcase themselves. I mean, all of these ideas can be brought in, and of course Indaba is quite flexible to accommodate a lot of these things. So once it's been brought forward early enough to be able to be included in the program. Alternatively, the exhibitors also can have their own programs within their stands. So it's a very welcome idea, and Madam Achachi, you are quite right. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I appreciate that. So over to Dr. Soltani as we close off and give the last word to Dr. Soltani. And then Regina, I see you thumbs up. So thank you so much. I think that idea of West Africa stand, 100% supported. It would be great presence to this thing. And then you can build a whole lot of things around it. Even a West Africa party or even a West Africa feast where we can all eat the jollof rice and pepper soup and everything during Indaba. That would be absolutely fantastic. Because that's the showcasing of West Africa and the various countries in that area. So let me give over to Dr. Soltani, and then we'll give back to you, Shay, and then you can close off for us. Dr. Soltani? Dr. Soltani, Reza? He doesn't seem to be on here. Are you there, Reza?
Yes, I am here.
There we go. It's your moment to talk about the Institute of Tourism. You know, we remember we told you right at the beginning as we closed off, you being our partner in the work that we do. So over to you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you so much for organizing this wonderful webinar. Institute of Tourism, we focus on organizing conferences mostly online. Also, one of our major subject is Africa. We work with Africa. Okay. In fact, we had a virtual summit a few weeks ago with the Minister of Tourism of Ghana and Jamaica about the diaspora and how we can help to have more tourism in Africa by African American are almost 55 million, and they are important economically. For example, we are promoting that more and more. In the coming few weeks, we will have also more summits and events about the diaspora, also from Canada, Jamaica, and also from with the Minister of Tourism of Jamaica as well, Mr. Bartlett, and also he's promoting that also. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you go deep a little bit. So
yeah, okay.
Promoting the resilience.
Okay, okay.
The reception is bad. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so thank you so much. There is some technical issues. The recording will be available in the coming hours, and that's it. So we are promoting, and that's it. So I'm sorry, there is some problem with my microphone, so I'll give it over to you.
Okay. So what Dr. Sultani was saying, one of the work that they do at the Institute of Tourism is exactly to this kind of conversations. And he's also in the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, doing the marketing and our communication. But most importantly, and I think this is what he wanted to mention right at the end, that in the coming months, probably in November, we're going to organize together, we're going to collaborate with the Institute of Tourism once again to do a sort of conference, if you like, a webinar with ministers involved. And we will let you know about it in the days that are going to come in, so that we can invite you back, so we can have this conversation and get the diaspora to support us, African plow back into Africa, but equally, really increase the inter-Africa travel. We need to flights, inter-Africa travel and flights to increase. We want the price to come down because it's so expensive for Africans to travel within their own continent. You're going to have to go to France before you go to Algiers. That's absurd in 2023. So these are some of the things we need to be able to talk about going forward, but not to talk only, but to make sure whatever resolutions are then put in the ground, which is why we are saying your insights today will go definitely to the planning that Bunny and her team is going to be put together, but also in terms of we're going to make a release so people talk about it, people in the know, the economists and people who can open these doors, they start opening these doors for us. So we really, Africa need to take its rightful place in the world. It's time for Africa. So over to you, facilitator.
Sorry, and I'm sorry. Now I think so. I'm using a different device. So can I continue? So what I wanted to say, thank you for this wonderful event that we have organized. So we are promoting more and more diaspora tourism. As I told you, the African Americans, the Canadians, and also the Europeans are important. And about over 100 million people. So we are promoting that. We are working with the Minister of Tourism of Ghana, with the Minister of Tourism of Jamaica, and in this month we will have again diaspora tourism, and we will send you. We have your emails, all the people register, and we will send you a kind invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sultani. Over to you, facilitator, to close us off. And
all right, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. I can't thank you all enough for making our time. So this will have remained us dreaming, but because you guys have decided to take a step forward and take this step and action our thoughts, that's why we are able to live out our dream. I thank you all. I really appreciate your contribution, and we assure you that all that we need to do to ensure that all of this is put out there and the gains that we promote and we recommend will definitely come through. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Susan. Enjoy Botswana.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody. Well
Thanks,
done.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I
Yes.
miss you.
Bye.
Bye.